I said visual impairment. So would you be able to share with the students your visual impairment and kind of how you found out you were visually impaired and kind of what inspired you to be independent?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. And that's really cool, you guys. I think noticing there's a lot of violin players here, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd love to share a little bit of my story with you and just encourage you as you kind of take these next steps and go forward in your own life. It's really a privilege to share it with you today, and that's my hope. Is when Grant asked me to come in, just thinking that if I can leave a little bit of wisdom with you or encourage you a little bit to take that next step, in a very real sense into the unknown, then it's a great thing. No matter where you are in life today, I hope I can inspire you to dream and to persevere even amidst the adversity in your life. I have a quick story that I like to share before I get too far in. I don't know how many of you ever listened or watched American Idol. I can't see your hands, but just clap if you've ever watched American Idol.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a high five. Even though you can't see me. But that's what happened to me. Ryan Seacrest said, "Congratulations, Scott. We will see you in Hollywood." And he held his hand up there, and it just stayed up there for a while. And said, "Well, Scott, I'm giving you a high five." And we did the high five, and it was all okay. But the very next day, it was in every magazine, every talk show was talking about it.
That's what are you supposed to do?
It was like the high five heard around the world. And but it happens to me to this day. People wave to me from across the room. I guess I don't see it. But it was pretty funny, and I gave him a high five back later in the season. It was a great way to start off the show. I think when people look at me on the street or just passing by in daily life, they see two things, and this may be true of some of you as well. They see success. Some people look at you and they're like, "Man, I can't believe wow, they're up and about, they're walking on the street even though they're blind." Like, that's inspiring. They look at me and they see, oh, he gets to record and sing and travel and be an entertainer, be a performer, written a book, just all this good stuff, right? Those are all good things. But they also look at me, and maybe you've realized this as well. People look at me and they think, oh man, there's got to be some difficulty there, some hardship there that needs to be worked through. Like, he must have a really difficult life. And the question becomes, how do these two go together? How do you get from one to the other? How do you go from hardship to hope in the midst of that adversity? So I want to share 3 principles with you that have not only helped me overcome the difficulties in my own life, but I think they've really defined the pursuit of my goals and dreams. So I'll share those with you in a few minutes here, over the next few minutes. So the first one I really like. It's something to remember, I hope, for your whole life. It's success starts with a choice. I was blind from birth, and like Grant was saying, I was almost completely blind. For a while, it was like looking through a little coffee straw, so I had a little pinhole of vision, like 2 degrees instead of 180. It was about the size of a mouse cursor on a computer screen, that type of thing. But over the years, even that has gone away. It was very little to begin with, and then it just became not much of anything. So sometimes I can still see light, but it's a little bit of a toss-up. Sometimes I feel like my mind is tricking me, and I think I see light, but I don't. So there were things I couldn't do growing up. Maybe similar for most of you. I couldn't play baseball in the traditional sense. Couldn't see when a girl was smiling at me from across the room. I couldn't drive a car. I have never driven a car, as far as anyone knows. But there were other things I could do, and I just had to work a little harder to do them. And I realized I had a choice, and it's the same choice we all have, blind or sighted. We have to continue to make this choice each and every day. And it's, will I focus on the things I can't do, or will I focus on the things I can do? You know, I can focus on what I cannot do and maybe be disappointed, get caught up in anger or even bitterness. I know people that have gone down that road, and it gets tougher and tougher. Or I can focus on the things I could do despite my disability. So I didn't have my eyes, but as you know, I had my ears. And so I poured a lot of my feelings and emotions and time into the piano. And music started as an interest for me, and then it kind of became a sport, and then something I was very passionate about. And then eventually it became my full-time career. But in the first place, I had to make that choice for success. I had to start by focusing on the things I could do, not the things I couldn't do. And it's a battle every day. You still have to make that choice. The second principle is a twist on a popular phrase. It's a phrase we all know and love, or maybe we don't love it so much. But I love the phrase. It's called seeing is believing. And I love it because I don't see.
Ironic.
Isn't it ironic? Yeah. And there's nothing inherently wrong with the phrase, but I think sometimes it teaches us to expect results before taking action. When in reality, many times it's our commitment to an idea, or our focus on an idea, or even our belief that something is possible that starts us on the way there, that becomes the catalyst for this thing actually happening. And so I like to flip it around and say believing is seeing. Believing is seeing. When I was just a kid, I had a dream of performing someday, performing in big, venues. Like, what would it be like to sing in an arena and hear all the people responding to my music, and then I could respond to their response, and it's kind of this back and forth communication. There was something really appealing to me, even as a kid, about that experience. Not so much being the center of attention, but more just the excitement of singing from the heart, and a bunch of people, kind of tracking along with you. Does that make sense? And I didn't know the first thing about how to play the piano. I didn't know the first thing about the music business, or how I should look on stage, or what I should do, any of that. And I can tell you, I couldn't imagine the obstacles I would face as a blind person in the very visual world of the entertainment industry. But I believed it was possible, and that seed of belief was enough to start me down that path. I started piano lessons and very quickly ran into my first obstacle, which was I couldn't read the sheet music. Some of you might know what sheet music is, right? It's the notes on the page. And when you're playing classical music, they don't. Well, let's just say improvisation is very frowned upon. So you can't really make it up. You have to play exactly what the composer wrote. And I couldn't see it, but I trained my ears to be like my eyes, and slowly found a different way to go about that.